Welcome to TBC News, our top stories. Dr. Samia says accurate census data application is crucial. Tanzania underscores food security as SADC heads of state meet. Good evening, I am Faida Ngaga. You can also follow us live via our YouTube channel, TBC Online. Also, get all the latest news through our Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter pages at TBC Online. President Dr. Samia Suluhu Hassan says after the completion of the population and housing census exercise for the year 2022, it's time now to continue to educate more on the correct use of the statistics. President Dr. Samia has made the remarks at the State House in Chamwino, Dodoma, after receiving the detailed publications of the 2022 population and housing census.
Wizara ya Mipango kutakuwa kuna tume ya mipango ndani yake. Tume ya mipango itakwenda kutumia takwimu hizi.
In the Ministry of Planning, there will be a planning commission that is going to use this data for all our national plans. When we write our new National Vision 2050, reference point should be these statistics. Whatever plans we are going to do, we should make sure we refer to this data. Socially, yes, there are so many indicators, some showing that men die younger than women who live longer, others show women to be more than men. All these do have reasons, so now it's time for those responsible for the social sector. Your job is to refer to these statistics and plan way forward. We have made great strides as a nation, but these statistics indicate that still there are a lot to be done in various sectors.
Vice President Dr. Philip Mpango has represented President Dr. Samia Suluhu Hassan at the 43rd Ordinary Southern African Development Community Summit of Heads of State and Government in Luanda, Angola. The meeting is attended by the heads of states and government of SADC, ministers, sectoral leaders, as well as army chiefs. Here are more details.
Some of the issues discussed in the meeting include industrial development, focusing on value addition of products from member countries. Tanzania has emphasized the importance of ensuring food sufficiency as well as the importance of restoring peace in Mozambique and the Democratic Republic of Congo. Furthermore, during the meeting, the President of the Democratic Republic of Congo, Felix Tshisekedi, has handed over the SADC chairmanship to the President of the Republic of Angola. Also, the President of Namibia, Dr. Hage Geingob, has handed over the chairmanship of the SADC organ on politics, defense and security cooperation to the President of Zambia, Hakainde Hichilema. The 43rd meeting of heads of state and government has been preceded by a meeting of the Committee of the Council of Ministers of the member states of the SADC held on 13 and 14 August 2023.
The Minister of Finance, Dr. Mwigulu Nchemba, calls on the Chinese company China Engineering Corporation, responsible for various infrastructural projects, including roads, bridges, and the modern SGR project, to invest in Tanzania. Ludo Mohammed has more details.
Dr. Nchemba made the call while leading the Tanzanian delegation to visit the company's headquarters in Beijing, China.
Mheshimiwa Rais anataka maeneo haya ambayo yamekosa barabara kwa kipindi kirefu.
The Honorable President wants to make sure that those places with no proper road infrastructure receive the service immediately to facilitate economic activities in those areas. And another thing that we have discussed is railway construction, since they're engaged in that too, which needs to be financed as well. Since they have invested greatly in the country, we have urged them to open their Eastern and Central African regional office in Tanzania.
On the other hand, the president of the company, Cheng Sichang, congratulates Tanzania for the strides made in economic development and says that his institute is ready to invest in the country.
And also, CCECC is quite willing and ready to conduct investment in your country, especially in sectors including agriculture, energy, health and education, and manufacturing. And in recent years, the population in Tanzania has increased dramatically, and we believe we shall create more jobs for the people in Tanzania.
The visit of the Tanzanian delegation to China includes the Minister of Works and Transport, Professor Makame Mbarawa, Permanent Secretary, Minister of Finance, Dr. Natu Mwamba, and several other senior officials of the government.
In other news, Ambassador of Tanzania to the United Arab Emirates, UAE, Lieutenant General Yaqub Hassan Mohammed, has presented his credentials to the President of the United Arab Emirates, Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan, at the State House in Abu Dhabi. Speaking after receiving the documents, the UAE President assured Ambassador Mohammed of cooperation from his government in carrying out his duties in the UAE for the benefit of both countries. On the other hand, Ambassador Mohammed vows to ensure residents of both countries benefit from the economic opportunities available on both sides. Tanzania and the UAE have many opportunities for economic cooperation, especially in the energy sector, where the UAE is one of the richest countries in the oil production. Tanzania has a large agricultural area, presenting a large market for agricultural and livestock products. Products from Tanzania that attract a large market in the UAE are vegetables, fruits, meat, cashews, cloves, tea, honey, fish, and coffee. Moving on, the government has started the implementation of a 7-road project across the country, measuring more than 2,000 kilometers at a cost of more than 3.7 trillion shillings. It's a report by Henry Mabumo, who is in Tanga region, read to you by Nasser Kingu.
This is one of the roads among the 7 road projects implemented by the government. This road connects the district of Handeni, Kilindi, Kiteto, Chemba, Kondo in the Dodoma region to Singida, measuring more than 384 kilometers. Engineer Kitainda Michael is the manager of APC, Finance and PPP projects from the Tanzania National Roads Agency, TANROAD. Here he explains more on the government's plans.
To plan how to implement the project in a way that the critical path will minimize its construction duration. Therefore, we are planning to have sections in the 384 kilometers. We will be having sections maybe maximum of 80 kilometers, 100. It depends on logistics of camping.
Then he explains the procedure he's going to use in the construction of the roads included in the 7 road projects.
The contractor has the obligation to carry out the design of the project, and secondly has to procure subcontractors, materials, equipment, facilities and others, and also construction. So in this regard, the EPC contractor has an obligation to carry all risks associated with design, procurement and the construction, unlike the traditional procurement.
Huang Nancheng is the manager of the company that is contracted for the implementation of the road construction.
We will supply the high quality project to the hard work to the government. Second one, we will through this good project, we will to strengthen the relationship between the Thai and the Tanzania government.
Some of the bus drivers, despite praising the government, touch on the challenges they face, especially during rainy season.
We face some difficulties during the rain season, and sometimes it forces us to stop somewhere unexpectedly. This district produces a lot of crops, but the main challenge is the road infrastructure, and when the road is constructed, everything will be better.
Now from Tanga region, let's come back to Dar es Salaam, where the global figure in primatology, conservation and global advocacy, Dr. Jane Goodall, says the government and other stakeholders should continue with strategies to alleviate poverty among people living around forests to mitigate the challenge of endangering animals, especially great apes. She made the remarks during a special event to honor her work organized by the British Embassy in Dar es Salaam. Nasser Kingu was there and has prepared the following report.
This is me, this is Jane.
Apart from having interesting life history, Dr. Goodall's research on chimpanzees in Tanzania has fundamentally altered our comprehension of the animal kingdom. Dr. Goodall says great apes are among endangered species and the government and the communities should step up to reverse the situation. Recommendations that are supported by the Acting Assistant Commissioner from Tanzania National Parks Authority, TANAPA, Hassan Guluma.
So all of the great apes, that's orangutans and gorillas and bonobo and chimpanzee, all of them are highly endangered. What can we do to reverse the situation? First of all, we've got to protect their environment. They can't live without the forest, so we have to protect the forest. To protect the forest, we need to alleviate the poverty of the people living around the forest so that they find ways of making a living without destroying their environment. And so what any government can do is to enforce the legislation which gives protection to endangered species.
Sisi kama hifadhi ya taifa Tanzania,
we as Tanzania National Parks Authority, we join hands with Dr. Jane Goodall to ensure Gombe Reserve is protected and sustained, and the great apes who are endangered are protected. So apart from various research that she continues to send to us, which we use them to improve the reserve, but also has contributed greatly to boost the tourism. We have initiated various projects to ensure those living around the reserve areas are busy with other economic activities to reduce the possibility of them to invade the forest.
Kwa hiyo kwanza tumeangalia kuanzisha kitu ambacho kinawafanya wao na shughuli za kufanya za kutosha lakini za kiuchumi. Kwa hiyo
on the other hand, the British High Commissioner to Tanzania, David Concor, highlights on how the UK government aligned with Dr. Goodall's vision by putting in place various initiatives.
The Darwin Initiative and the UK's Illegal Wildlife Challenge Fund. And these initiatives seek to combat the illegal wildlife trade. They seek to protect biodiversity and support local communities living in biodiverse areas. And since their inception, these initiatives have awarded over £207 million to more than 1,000 projects across 159 countries, including here in Tanzania.
The work of Dr. Jane Goodall, who is also a founder of Jane Goodall Institute in Tanzania and Roots and Shoots movement in schools, is another reminder that the influence of an individual actions can inspire many, including young ones.
Plant flowers, plant trees, plant stuff, but also just like water any plants nearby.
Let's all together unite to keep our world clean and safe by protecting our environment. Thank you for listening, Georgina Magesa.
From Dar es Salaam, Nasser Kingu, TBC News.
Thank you, Nasser Kingu, for that report. The East African Crude Oil Pipeline, EACOP, is a pipeline that will transport oil produced from Uganda's Lake Albert oil fields to the port of Tanga in Tanzania, where the oil will be sold onwards to world markets. In efforts to provide technical support to this strategic major project, the National Institute of Technology offers a course dubbed Pipework Oil and Gas Engineering. The rector of NIT, Professor Zakaria Mganilwa, says this course will produce experts who will work in the EACOP project with good remuneration. NIT is the only college in the country that offers this course.
Vyuo vingine kwa mfano chuo cha taasisi ya teknolojia Dar es Salaam, chuo cha Dar es Salaam na chuo cha Dodoma wanafundisha wahandisi wa gesi.
Other higher learning institutions such as the University of Dar es Salaam and the University of Dodoma offer a Bachelor of Petroleum Engineering, but on our side we offer diploma in pipework, oil and gas engineering. This is a special course for those who will specialize in pipeline welding. It's a very strategic profession currently. And the graduates will get international welding licenses. NIT will be the first college to provide these licenses in the country. And with the East Africa Crude Oil Pipeline or Hoima Tanga Pipeline, the graduates will work in this project and they'll be paid well.
Kwa hiyo hata huu mradi wa kutoka Uganda Hoima mpaka Chongolani Tanga, vijana watakao hitimu hapa wataweza kwenda kufanya kazi kubwa tu kule ya mikono yao na kwa malipo mazuri sana.
That is the NIT Rector, Professor Zakaria Mganilwa. Now let's have a look at other stories. Real estate companies and agents have been urged to set a rental price that reflects the reality of the income of the majority of Tanzanians in order to attract middle and high income Tanzanians to buy or rent the properties. The call has been made by James Provost, who is a real estate specialist, when talking to our reporter Gloria Michael.
Situated along the eastern part of the sub-Saharan Africa, Dar es Salaam is the city with more than 5 million residents and one among the fastest growing one in that region. With an increasing number of new entrants to the city and income, it creates demand for modern housing among the middle and upper class.
As a company, we get inquiries from all over the world, not just Tanzanians, but all over the world. And it's a hot topic right now, because the marketing of which Tanzania is doing at the moment for as attracting investors is giving us a really nice profile globally. So locally, everyone here is having the same positivity towards the economy as an investor overseas.
When it comes to property development and ownership, the investors' appetite and trust relies on good policy and implementation.
The policies of Mama Samia, which helped tremendously in the development and the resurgence of investments into mainland Tanzania. Before this, people were afraid to make investments. We had the corona pandemic, which also scared people a lot. So once the pandemic was over globally, as of April last year, an incredible amount of inquiries that typically did not happen 2 to 3 years prior to that. So this is one of the contributing factors that give success to projects is through the policies of government, which allows them to have confidence to invest their funds.
Among the challenges that chases away buyers in the real estate business is oscillated prices.
This development is where we're trying to bring the market into a more affordable area for investors. So if all the apartments and all the units in this area, Masaki, Oyster Bay, were overpriced before, I would say we were at least 30%, 40% overpriced. So now with this development, we bring it into an investor level, which is we're about 10, 12, even maybe 20% below market price, which gives the investor the confidence to make the bet on the unit because they know they can get their return based on the price.
In this exactly location, after 18 months, more than 60 units will be up and open as a new residential place. From Dar es Salaam, Gloria Michael, TBC News.
Thank you, Gloria, for that report. The government says education advancement activities, which include upgrading and development of the new curricula, will be in line with the changes in technology in order to nurture a well-educated generation, and that will be possible if the teachers adopt relevant and modern teaching methods.
We are in a process of reviewing the curriculum, and the process is almost complete, and we are waiting for the guidelines of those curriculum to be prepared by TIE, and then those guidelines will be oriented to education stakeholders in all levels of basic education, so that they can be utilized by teachers to start teaching in our school.
Teaching through praise approach, we think, is a best and a good approach to our students. So when the teacher will use this praise as a method on teaching, I think most of the pupils will be happy to participate in the academic issues.
On the other hand, the project manager of Play Matters, Juliana Ndiagula, says to teach a child through sports is one of the best ways, while the head of the Vikindo Teacher Training College, Amina Nasoro, asserts that sports have multiplied talent and performance of many students.
Teachers graduate from college is not the end of learning. We continue with the professional development where we meet at the school level, at ward level, and we learn by assisting each other through the professional development framework that we are implementing in Tanzania. So we will be able to learn from our fellow in Ethiopia and Uganda and see what kind of a lesson are we taking from them, but what kind of a lesson are they taking from us.
The program of Play Matters deals to play a number of sports or game or songs in order students to learn. So a teacher can use maybe sports while you play, while you learn.
Stakeholders of the Play Matters project from Uganda and Ethiopia meet in the country to learn how Tanzania uses sports to improve academics. Before we wind up our local news, let us take a look at today's exchange rates according to the Bank of Tanzania, BOT. Don't miss TBC News every weekday to know all the latest in exchange rates. Time now for all the latest in international news. Now let's have a look at international news compiled by Ramadhani Mpenda and read to you by Fatma Matulanga.
The ECOWAS Commissioner for Political Affairs, Peace and Security, Abdel Fattah Musa, has said the West African bloc ECOWAS stands ready to intervene militarily in Niger should diplomatic efforts to reverse a coup there fail. Commissioner Musa told army chiefs from member states who were meeting in Ghana on Thursday to discuss the details of a standby force and accused the junta that deposed President Mohamed Bazoum on July 26 of playing cat and mouse with ECOWAS by refusing to meet with envoys and seeking justifications for the takeover. He said the military and the civilian forces of West Africa are ready to answer the call of a duty and listed past ECOWAS deployments in Gambia, Liberia, and elsewhere as examples of readiness. Musa also strongly criticized the junta's announcement that it had elements to put Bazoum, who is being detained, on trial for treason. The United Nations, European Union, and ECOWAS have all expressed concerns over the conditions of his detention. President William Ruto of Kenya has reiterated his commitment on Thursday to close all corruption loopholes in his administration in order to fulfill his promises to Kenyans. Speaking at the laying of the foundation stone for the Anglican Church Grand Cathedral in Kiambu town, Ruto stated that corruption public servants have no place in his government and should be fired if they do not reform. The president stated that he will not tolerate individuals who abuse the mandate bestowed upon them by the Kenyan electorate and misuse taxpayer funds. He also claimed that leaders have long used their positions of power and influence to make false promises to Kenyans and use them as conduits to siphon money for personal gain. And a small private jet crashed into a motorbike and a car while attempting to land at an airport in the outskirts of Malaysian capital, Kuala Lumpur, leaving at least 10 people dead. Malaysian Selangor Police Chief Hussein Omar Khan has said that an aircraft, a light private business jet, was carrying 6 passengers and 2 crew when it crashed near Elmina Township just before it was due to land. He said the aircraft lost contact with the air traffic control tower and crashed into a motorbike and a car on the highway. The country's civil aviation authority said the flight had departed from the holiday island of Langkawi and was en route to Selangor's Sultan Abdulaziz Shah Airport near capital city Kuala Lumpur.
That was international news. Sports news up next. In sports news, Singida Big Stars head coach Hans van Pluim says his team is ready to take on JKU in the CAF Confederation Cup preliminary round, which will be played at Azam Complex, Chamazi. Coach Pluim says that they are approaching the game with seriousness as they eye their first victory and make a statement to the rest of the teams participating in the CAF Confederation Cup.
Does it make any difference? A match is a match. It is the way how you propose a match and how hungry you are and that you want to win a match. It's not dependent on an international match or a local match. No, you have to be prepared for it and show that attitude and that character that you want to win it more, that you want it more than the opponent to win that match.
This is the first time Tanzanian teams play each other in the preliminary round of Continental Showpiece. Young Africans take on Asas from Djibouti in CAF Champions League in the preliminary round. In other sports news, the England international boxer, former WBO and WBC Natasha Jonas, urges Tanzanian boxers to raise their standards in the game if they dream of becoming world champions. Jonas told Tanzanian boxers that playing different international matches will equip them with skills and knowledge of the games, which is crucial to the international bouts.
Can do for the sport of boxing here in Tanzania is motivate, participate and encourage male, females, young people to get involved in the sport, but also hopefully help develop programs which make it easier for people to stay in the sport and get better equipment and be better funded to be the best and most successful athletes that they can be.
Natasha Jonas is in Tanzania as a tourist and uses her time to share her experience in boxing development in the country. And that's it for sports news. But before we wind up our local news, let us take a look at weather forecast for the next 24 hours.
Hello viewers, we welcome for the next 24 hours weather forecast from Tanzania Meteorological Authority. You're with Teleza Ngasa. By starting with the wind flow pattern, wind is expected to flow at the speed of 30 km per hour from southeast over the Indian Ocean. Also is expected to flow at the speed of 30 km per hour over Lake Victoria, Lake Tanganyika and Lake Nyasa. For tonight, we expect the lowest minimum temperature to be 8 degrees Celsius over Mbeya region, and most part of our country for tonight are expected to feature partly cloudy condition. For tomorrow, it is our expectation that areas over Kagera are expected to feature partly cloudy condition, thunder showers over few areas. Over Arusha, Kilimanjaro, Tanga, Pemba and Unguja, Isos, Dar es Salaam and Pwani region, we expected to have partly cloudy condition, light rain showers over few area. The remaining part of the country for tomorrow is expected to feature partly cloudy condition. And now let's take a look on the 4 days weather forecast. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.
And that marks the end of the news bulletin for tonight. Don't miss our next bulletin in Kiswahili at 11 p.m. I am Faida Gaga. Have a lovely night.